At about that time, there was a change of policy in the administration, and the idea was that there was a new moderate president recently installed in Tehran, and the United States would take serious efforts to develop that relationship. And we began to get, in the FBI, directions in that regard, which we accepted. For instance, I got a call one day from the Secretary of State complaining that the FBI was photographing and fingerprinting the Iranian wrestlers who were coming into the United States. And then Khobar Towers happened. 19 Americans were killed. General Shelton, you and I sat in on meetings around this town in the aftermath of that. And we conducted an investigation where police officers were investigators. We're not politicians, we're not diplomats. And very quickly into the investigation, it became clear that although the attack was operationally performed by the Hezbollah in Saudi Arabia, the attack was organized, planned, funded, and executed by the IRGC. They had gotten the passports of the operators. They had funded them with cash. The general in the IRGC who was in charge of the project sat in the embassy, the Iranian embassy in Damascus, and gave them their passports. So we took all this information, this is 1996, now into 1997, and we presented it to the administration. I actually presented it to the National Security Advisor. And his reaction, I got a lot of different reactions around town the 9 years I was director. This was perhaps the most interesting one. When I told him that the IRGC and the Iranian government had murdered 19 Americans in the bombing at Khobar, his response was, well, who else knows about this? And I said, well, several dozen FBI agents, the Attorney General of the United States, and I think we should move to the U.S. Attorney's Office and procure an indictment. That was not on the agenda, and I respect that. Again, the issue was to try to develop a relationship with this regime. It didn't work, obviously, and in 1997, the MEK was put on the Foreign Terrorist Organization list at the request of the Iranian government and to appease the Iranian government. That bad decision has persisted for 14 years. In the Bush administration, and I have many friends in both administrations, I served in one, obviously, actually I served in two, technically, the offer came again to the United States government that the Iranian regime would control the operational use of improvised explosive devices in Iraq, and American soldiers, American service men and women would be protected. And that sounded like a really good idea, so we kept them on the list for another bunch of years. That obviously did not happen either. And as one of my colleagues said, more Americans killed in June of this year than last year, precisely as a result of this IED operation run by the Iranian regime. So the United States has not gotten a very good bargain in 14 years. And this group is not a terrorist group. As my colleagues have said, the MEK, the PMOI, however you want to define them, is not a terrorist group. Do you think for a moment that the likes of the people on this panel would be here if there was even a remote possibility that this organization was a foreign terrorist organization? By the way, we all keep contacts with our associations and our agencies.